All right, we are rolling. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. We're the last Thursday in the month of December 2023, looking at moving into the new year. And my focus today for class is the difference between active stretching and passive stretching. So, if we actively stretch a muscle, we are using our body to create that stretch. So, for instance, if I reach my arm up and push back as far as I can with my muscle, I'm seeing how far I can stretch back by activating usually the opposing muscle group, the muscles on the opposite side of where we're stretching. If I make that stretch passive, I'm using a force to increase that range of motion. So rather than just stay here with just my body, I might press forward. I might use a yoga strap to pull down. I might press my arm against a wall and see if I can create more range of motion by using an outside force. Sometimes that force is actually gravity. So for props today, you might like to have a yoga strap with you. We might use that to assist some of the stretches to do the passive side. And I did this a lot with my knee surgery. So the doctor and physical therapist wanted to see how far I could bend my knee using my own body. So I would pull that knee back, and actually right now that's pretty tight for me right now, right there. So I'm using my hamstring to create the stretch. But then I could maybe grab my shoe or my ankle, and then using my hand, I'm able to get more range of motion in that passive part of the stretch. So that is our theme for today. I want to make sure when you're doing the passive stretching that you're not pushing beyond what your comfort zone is, still staying in a nice, comfortable range of motion. So with your props, you might start in a chair today or come on down onto the floor in a comfortable seated position. Maybe simple cross-leg pose might feel okay for you today. And then just find a nice long spine as we prepare for practice. And I want you to feel the muscles of your spine to lift upward. So that is an active stretch of the spine. We're just really activating everything to come up nice and tall. We'll take 2 breaths. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, press away. And one more. Inhale, reach. Exhale and press away. We'll start with some active rotation of the spine. So arms can be in any comfortable position. I just want you to turn as far as you can with your spine to the right, just using your back muscles, your obliques, to find that range of motion. And then come back to center. We'll do the same thing to that left side. Up tall with the spine, start to turn and use your back muscles, obliques, to rotate as far as you can. And we'll do that one more time each side. 2 is going to be our magic number today. And we'll try to go a little farther. Your hands can be in. It's not about the arms, it's about the torso. And back to center. And to the left, maybe you're exhaling really long here. And coming back in. So that is our active stretch. Now let's add the passive. So we'll bring the right hand out to the side or behind you, the left hand across your knee. And now you're using this arm to anchor and see if you can twist a little deeper by applying force to rotate in a passive position. And you might notice you can relax the muscles of your obliques a little bit because you're actually using your arm to find this twist. And then let's take it to the other side. Use this force here, press into the knee to create more rotation. And you're just breathing really fluidly and smoothly, that equal ratio breath. And then one more time on each side for our passive stretch. Now, even though we're applying this force here, we don't want it to be too much tension where we feel torquing or pain in the spine. It's just giving us the opportunity to explore a little bit more range of motion. And then we'll move it again to the left one more time. Passive stretch, passive twist. And then we'll come back to center. Now, actively stretching through the side waist. Let's lift the right arm up and we'll stretch over by activating the muscles of our spine. We're feeling this big opening through the rib cage. It's just the muscles. And then release it. Another side. Now it's up to you how high this arm is. But if you've got it closer to your ear and you're pressing it in, you're going to feel a deeper stretch through your lats. And then one more time each side. Reach, reach, reach upward. Excellent. Last time over to that right side with the left arm up. And then release it down. Now, as we move into the passive side, if you don't have a lot of range of motion in your shoulders, you might like to use your strap for the passive. If you have a really good range of motion actively, you can use your opposite hand. So we'll lift that right arm up. And if you have some pretty good range of motion, you're going to grab the wrist and pull over. So that's your active or your passive stretch using outside force. With your yoga strap, you've got your arms further apart and you're going to pull down against that strap. And let's come back up, breathing in. And then to the other side with a little bit of passive work by using that outside force. Try to keep both sitting bones down so we're not rocking over off of our left hip there. And one more time each side. I'm going to do that without the strap on the second one. Grabbing the wrist and gently guiding yourself into a deeper stretch. Now, if the passive stretch doesn't feel good for you, just do the active again because it's very beneficial to your muscles. Inhale up and then passively stretching the side waist, the shoulder, the lat. Beautiful. Inhale back up and exhale to release it down. All right, take your time to come onto your back. Have your yoga strap ready as we do some hamstring, active and passive flexibility. If you need something behind your head, we're going to be here for a little bit, so make yourself nice and comfortable. So for this one, you might like to have your knees bent with your feet flat if you have back issues. You can also put your feet up on a chair if you have back issues. Or if you don't and it feels comfortable, you can extend your legs all the way down straight. So our active stretch for the hamstrings, we are going to use the muscles of our leg to lift our right leg up as high as we can and pull it up and just hold it. Now, if your ankle is flexed, that's going to give you more stretch, but if you want to keep your foot relaxed, you can do that as well. I like to have that flexion, so I really feel it down the back of that right leg. Keeping the leg as straight as you can. And then lower that right side down. Lifting the left leg up. Pull it, pull it, pull it. So we're using our hip flexor, our quadricep, and our shin muscle and a little bit of the core to pull that leg up and to hold it. It should feel like a little bit of work as well as the stretch down the back of the leg. Nice. All right, let's repeat. So if you're feeling that in your back, keep your left knee bent as you pull your right leg up. So I want you to feel these quads really actively firing and down the front of the shin as you pull that leg in toward yourself. That's that oppositional work, reciprocal inhibition. All right, let's lower that one down. And then bring that left leg up, 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 tightening the quad. And it's okay if this knee is bent a little bit, but you're going to get more stretch the straighter you can get that leg. Make sure you're not holding your breath here. Really important. All right, lower that down. Now we move into our passive stretch. So you can use either your hands to pull this leg in closer to you, or grab your yoga strap, loop it under the bottom of the foot. Let's go on that right side, and we're going to use the outside force to create a deeper stretch. So you can now kind of relax the quad here and just use your arms, or you can still activate the quad and kind of combine both the active and the passive side of the stretch. Not pushing to pain, but you might feel a little discomfort as you're stretching that muscle. All right, let's let it go. And we'll switch. Bringing that leg up, using your hands or using the yoga strap. And try to maintain that consistent tension on the strap. Unless you need to back it off a little bit as you're holding, that's okay too. One more breath. And our goal is maybe holding this at least 30 seconds, 20 to 30 is a nice number. Okay, we have one more set on each side. Right side lifts. Outside force is applied to stretch deeper. And that bottom leg again can straighten out or stay bent or up on a chair. Okay, last one on the hamstring. Left side. You can start with the active by pulling it up with your own muscles and then applying the outside force. Ooh. Should feel great to really extend those muscles. Try to relax your upper body, shoulder phase so that you're not tensing. Keep the breath moving. One more breath. And exhale. Release it down. Okay, we all know our figure four stretch for the hips. So we're going to do this figure four stretch in an active manner. So what I want you to do is bring your right leg up. It's bent at about 90 degrees, and you're going to rotate the foot across the body and then use your muscles to pull your leg up toward you. This left leg can be bent or it can straighten out. Now, we don't oftentimes try to do this stretch actively, so it feels a little bit different. So we've got rotation of the thigh for a nice hip opener. All right, release it down. Left knee comes up about 90 degrees. You can flex your foot, rotate your foot across your body. So your knee's going to rotate outward, and then pull the knee up toward you, actively stretching that hip on the left side. And I know you just want to grab and pull. That's how I'm feeling. Thinking, oh, this is kind of hard to actively stretch the hip this way. Okay, you've got it. So we get to repeat one more time. Right knee comes up, ankle rotates across, knee rotates out, and we pull the leg up toward us any amount. Now I'm finding I'm starting to really tense my shoulders, my face a little bit here. So just check in. Try to relax everything else in your body. Great. All right, let's try it on that left side. Left knee up. Rotate, ankle across, knee out, and pull up toward you. Softly breathing. And come back to neutral. So for our passive stretch, we can either use the opposite knee to push up, or we can use our hands to pull in. So let's start by bringing that right knee up, crossing it, and then bringing the left knee up to touch the outside of the shin, and use your left knee to drive that right leg in closer to you. So that's one way we can use outside force. Another way, we can reach through the legs, grab the back of your left thigh and pull in, or even the outside of your right thigh and your left foot. Maybe a combination of those two outside forces. And then let's hold. One more breath. Excellent. Release it down. Left side, knee comes up, ankle out, foot across, bottom knee can come into connect, and we push with the right leg to drive the left leg closer, or we pull in with our hands. And notice you might have some big differences between the right and left sides of your body. So we're just going to that gentle stretch that feels right for you, that you can maintain for that 20 to 30 seconds. And then let's release. And I'm just estimating the time I'm holding here. I'm not really looking at a clock. Let's bring it across. So if you need a little more or a little less, or you're watching later on YouTube and you want to really make this a longer stretch, go ahead and pause the video and enjoy it as much as you like, or pause the video and do a couple more sets on each side. One more breath. And release. All right, last time on the left. Knee comes up, ankle across, bottom leg presses forward, or using the hands or both. Last 30 seconds here in our figure 4. Great stretch if you have any tight piriformis problems, sciatic nerve, even lower back issues. This is a great stretch. And one more breath. And then release it down. Okay. Okay, we're going to stretch our quad. So just roll over onto one side, doesn't matter which side. We'll do both. Get yourself comfortable in a sideline position. So this top leg is the one we're going to stretch, and we're going to do it twice actively, twice passively before we switch sides. So we'll lift our leg up to activate the outer thigh, flex your foot, and then use the muscle of your glute to push your leg back. And go really slow, because sometimes when we do this type of stretch, your hamstring will want to cramp up a little bit on you. So we're using the hamstring to pull our heel as close to our butt as we can. We're using our glute to press the leg back behind us as much as we can. This is going to lengthen the quadricep and the hip flexor. And then we'll bring it back in, taking a short break, relax, take a breath. And then we'll actively stretch that quad again. So lifting the leg up, flexing the foot, pushing back and pulling the heel toward the glute. Feeling that work in the posterior chain here to open up the muscles in the front of the thigh. If you're starting to feel cramping in that leg, don't hold it. Give yourself a break and stretch it out. All right, bring it back in and relax. So for the passive, you might need your yoga strap. I know definitely I will on my surgical leg, or you can grab your ankle. So we'll bring it here. Now we pull back and use the arm for extra outside force to get a deeper stretch. And I feel the difference, definitely. And be careful here of your shoulders. So if this doesn't feel comfortable for you and that passive stretch isn't working, just do your active again. And keep squeezing that glute a little bit. That'll help you get further back. And then let's come in and take a break. Take a breath. If you need to bring the knee forward a little bit to stretch this way, that's okay too. And then let's try one more time. Either the strap or your hand, grab the ankle, pull back, a little bit of help with your glute by tensing, and hold. Excellent. This can be done standing up as well, or even seated in a chair, kind of turned side saddle with your bottom hip on the chair. It's a great way to do it if you're not wanting to get up and down off the floor. All right, let's release that side. Take your time to either roll over or press yourself up and come to the other direction. So now I'm dealing with my surgical knee, so I'll definitely be needing probably a little bit of help with the strap, but we'll see. I'm kind of getting my range of motion where if I'm pretty stretched out, I can grab my ankle with my hand. Okay, find that nice sideline position. And we'll lift that top leg up. And then use the muscles actively to push back. Go slow so you don't get any cramping in your hamstring. If that's going to happen, it's usually when you're pulling your heel toward your glute and really firing the back of the leg. So concentrate more on firing your glute muscle. Try to keep your hips stacked here so you're not rolling backward. Notice where your stretch is so you can kind of compare it. And then we'll bring it in and relax. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift the leg. Flex the foot. Pull back. Tighten those muscles. Now, depending on where you're tightest, you might feel this in the front of the hip. You might feel it in the quad. I had a lot of quad damage with the tourniquet on my surgery, so I feel this a lot in my quadricep. I have definitely a little bit of scar tissue there I'm dealing with, but this feels like a good stretch. Okay, let's bring it forward. I'm thinking I'm going to need my strap on this one. If you are as well, let's get that at the ready. I got myself a new yoga strap after surgery here. It's got a lot of little loops I can put my foot in, which is really nice. Okay, let's give it a go with that passive stretch. So we're going to use the hand and now pull this back. Ooh, yes. All the scar tissue over the top of my knee is saying good morning right now, but in a good way. And with these stretches, it's just a very individual thing as to what your tolerance is and what is a good pain versus a pain where you need to take a break and not go as far. All right, let's relax. Tell the muscle it's okay. We're going to do it one more time. Take a breath in. I think I'm going to try the ankle and see if I can reach it. Okay, let's give it a go. All right, we're there. Ooh, pull it back. Find a little bit of activity in your glute. That's going to help you bring that leg further back. I know some of you are very flexible in your quads, and this maybe to you doesn't feel like a lot. That's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not getting any benefit. We're maintaining also that range of motion that we have. Good job, everybody. One more breath. And bring it in and relax. Okay, we're bringing it up to a stand for some standing stretches. So take your time to come up onto your feet. You may need your yoga strap. And if you have access to a wall for our first stretch, this is going to be beneficial for you to have a wall. So even if you need to step away from the camera, you'll be able to hear me. So what we're going to do is an active heart opener for the chest. So with your elbows a little lower than your shoulders, I want you to pull your arms back. So what we're doing is firing the upper back, mid-back area to open up the chest and the front of the shoulders. Keep your abs engaged so that you're not really back bending here, but just focusing right between the shoulder blades. And then bring it in briefly. Take a breath. And as you exhale, open and pull back. One of my favorite active stretches for posture, because it's strengthening your back muscles while it's stretching the tight muscles of the chest and shoulders that give us poor posture. One more breath. And release. So if you have a wall, we're going to come up to the wall. If you don't, just do a couple more active stretches. And what we're going to do is put the arm here against the wall, shoulder in hand, and then start to turn your body away from the wall any amount. So you're using the outside force of the wall to give you a deeper stretch. Now make sure you're not forcing this to strain your shoulder. The shoulder is a joint we want to always protect by being very careful and safe in that range of motion. And then we're just going to move to the other side. So your hand comes up, your elbow and your hand come against the wall. We just start turning away any amount until you feel the stretch. And if it feels okay for you, let's do one more on each side. And check to make sure your elbow is down below your shoulder. If we bring this up too high and stretch, that can, again, be a problem for straining your shoulder joint. And then move into the other direction. This is a great one to do every day to help our posture. And then we're going to use this active stretch to work on balance. So stepping up toward the front of your mat to have some room behind you. Bring the palms at your heart center. And then as you step back with the ball of your right foot to touch it, open up the chest and pull your shoulder blades together. And then step back in, the palms touch. The ball of the left foot comes back, we find our balance, and we open. So this first time, I'm keeping both legs pretty straight. You also have the option to do more of a lunge. So we'll close in. And for me to do this, I'm going to need to put my hand on the wall because my surgical knee is in front. So we can step your right foot back, open up into that shoulder stretch, and come down into a lunge. Your back knee can be bent about 90 degrees, or you can extend your leg a little straighter and even push down into your heel. And then close back in, pressing palms. Left foot goes back. Open up the chest. Come down into your lunge any amount. Back knee bend or straighten. Pull, pull, pull those shoulder blades together. And then come back in and hold. Okay, grab your yoga strap as we are going right into a passive stretch for our back scratch stretch. So what I want you to do is hold it in your right hand, bring it up, drape the strap behind your back, bring your hands together as close as you can. Now, if you're pretty flexible, you might actually be able to do this without the strap and bind your hands together. So that's been something I've never been able to do. But if you have enough flexibility where you can grab together here and bind, that's a great option as well. This is a super long yoga strap. So we are in our passive back scratch test, which means we're using the force of pulling our hands together on the strap to find our range of motion. Feet are about hips distance apart. We'll bend our knees and sink into a baby chair pose. Make sure your chair doesn't look like a forward bend, so we have our chest up. Holding the strength of our legs, stretching the left front shoulder and the right tricep. And then we'll inhale up. Take your time to take the bottom arm down first very carefully so you don't strain your shoulder, and then switch the strap to your left hand. Reach it up, drape it behind you. Turn your hand, the back of your hand comes to your lower back, and you find the strap and start to creep the hands up. Now, if this bothers your shoulder on your right arm, you can take this way down, and you don't have to bend that back arm. You can just use this right arm to pull the strap down behind you. So I want you to find a comfortable stretch. Working the fingers as close as you can. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, sink into chair. Pull your abdominals in as you're breathing. Make sure your head stays up. So sometimes we drop our head down when we have that hand behind us. Couple more breaths. And then we'll inhale to come up. Release the bottom arm carefully first, and then the top arm down. Keep your yoga strap with you, and we'll step one foot back so we can come to a long, wide position with the legs here, long stride. We'll come into warrior two. So turn this right foot out so it's facing the top of your mat, and then turn your left foot parallel, and then we'll bend the right knee and try to line up knee over ankle and shoulders and hips and torso squared forward. So we'll just keep the yoga strap in the left hand for a moment. Bring your right arm forward, palm up, and then bring this into an active reverse warrior. So you're using your muscles to side bend the body and to reach up. We can turn our head upward and try not to bend this shoulder forward. So we're pulling back, nicely firing the muscles of the waist. And then as you come back up, reach the arm out in front here and bring it across your body and turn and look over your left shoulder as far as you can. So I'm stretching the shoulder by pulling my arm across, and I'm rotating my body, actively using those muscles, the obliques and back, to rotate. And then we'll open it back out. Now, using our yoga strap, we'll apply some force for a passive stretch. So we'll take this strap maybe about shoulders width apart or a little wider. Bring the arms up. Now for our reverse warrior, we're using the force of pulling with our left arm to reach up with the right and to side bend the waist. Really press into your feet here. Feel the core active as well as the muscles of the lower body. And then we'll bring it up. Bring the arms down a little lower than shoulder level, and then use this left arm to pull the right arm across and to twist the core. Now, when you do this, make sure that the front knee doesn't start to bow inward. We're going to keep pressing the knee out toward the baby toe of the right foot. And then bring it back in and release it down. Let's switch our stance. We're going to straighten out this right knee, turn the foot in, turn the left foot out. Take your time to find your stance. Turn your torso as much forward as you can without letting this knee bow in. And then we'll do our active stretch first. So take that right arm up. No, it's this one. Left arm up. We're going in reverse warrior. And then reach it, reach it, reach it. Open up the side body. Maybe take your gaze up if you can for balance. A little bit more challenging. Good. And then reach it out. Now the arm comes across, so we're using our muscles to stretch our shoulder here, and then we turn. We're trying to point our fingers as much as we can to the wall that's on the side of us, on the side of that right foot. You should feel a little opening through the back of your shoulder blade. And a lot of core work here. Check in and make sure that your right or your left knee didn't bow in. Keep pushing it back to your baby toe. Okay, let's add some external force. Using that yoga strap, reach up, reverse warrior. So I'm using my right arm to pull down and open up the side waist. This is a lot of work and stretching through your QL. So if you have back problems, go gentle here. I even feel that in my bicep on that left arm. And then we come up. Lower it down in front of us, maybe a little bit below the shoulder. And then we'll pull across and twist. Boy, that's getting a little spot where I'm always tight in the back of my right shoulder blade. Kind of going up into my neck a little bit in a good way. One more breath. And come back to center. And release it down. Let's pivot both feet in. If you need a block or a chair to give your hands some support here, we're just going to do a passive forward fold. And this will allow gravity to be our external force. So your hands can be at your hips if you'd like. Start to hinge forward into your wide leg stretch. And then I want you to just try to relax everything as you come forward to your maximum range of motion. And we're just going to let everything hang and passively stretch. Now, if you're pretty flexible, you can add more external force for this by grabbing the back of your calves and pulling yourself down a little deeper. Just keep breathing. Make sure this feels okay for your body. If you need to take a break or do this stretch differently, a good way would be to sit in your chair with your legs straddled and then bend over from the waist there so that you're supported on your hips on the chair. 2 more breaths. And then we are going to walk our hands toward whichever side of your mat will be the front. So I'm going to turn this way. And what we'll do is to step back to your knees or your toes and lower yourself down onto your belly. So take your time to get there. Hands are just next to your shoulders or in front of your shoulders on the mat. And then we are going to stretch the front of the body in Cobra in an active way, which is going to strengthen the back. So take your hands away from the mat so you're not touching, and then use the muscles of your back to lift up. When you lift up, check your head and make sure you didn't lift your head up and look forward. So keep the back of your neck long so your neck is in neutral. Tighten your glutes. And then lower back down, pause, take a breath. We'll do that one more time actively. Your hands come away from the floor. We lift up, strengthening the back, tighten the gluteals. You can even lift your feet up off the mat a little bit. More of a locust. And then lower down. So if we add an external force, we can come up a little higher. So pressing into the palms of the hands now, start to lift up, give yourself some assistance, and come up. Some of you may be able to press yourself to your arms are all the way straight. Make sure your back feels okay with this. And then we'll take a break, come on down. And one more time, a little press into the hands. Make sure your shoulder blades aren't shrugging up. Nice long spine. And release it down. Very nice. Okay, pressing up to either down dog or child's pose. Just hold and breathe. I'm taking down dog because my knee's not quite ready for child's pose yet. My body would like to do it, but that'll come in time. And then we'll transition back to a seated position where we began our class. If you need a little cushion to sit on, I always like that to elevate the hips a little bit. Okay, moving into Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet come together. And your feet can be any distance away from your groin. I'm kind of coming to where my surgical knee feels okay to bend. And sit tall. So we're going to stretch the hips and the inner thighs by applying force using our muscles downward by pressing the knees toward the mat. So fire your hip muscles and push your legs out and down. Try to sit tall here, abs are in. Hands can be wherever you want. Just apply that active pressure, hold. And relax. If you want, you can close your knees in for a second as we do this one more time. Open and push out and down. Press. Excellent. Sometimes we want to hold our breath when we're doing these holding stretches, especially when we're actively using force. So try to keep breathing. Good. And release. Option to close back in. So now we'll use outside force. And a good way to do that is either your hands or your elbows pressing your knees out for you. You can start with the active stretch a little bit by firing these muscles, or you can completely relax those muscles. And then we can take the hands or the forearms and push out. I know some of you are super flexible and you can already get those knees all the way down here. That's not LisaBug body. So if you have your knees all the way out, you're in a pretty good stretch, then you're going to come forward with your upper body any amount. Let's hold. And this kind of brings up that question, if my muscles are shaking, is that okay? So let's come back up. My answer is it depends. If it's the muscles that you're trying to stretch that are shaking, you need to take a break. If it's the muscles that you're pushing with that are shaking, that's okay. Those muscles are working. They're not the ones that are stretching. Okay, let's do it one more time. Inhale tall. Exhale, push out. Option to come forward. Let's hold about 30 seconds. The breath is moving. Couple more inhale and exhales. Maybe push out a little farther. And release it up. Great. Shift yourself into a mermaid sit with your right leg, the leg in front, your left leg, the one to the side, maybe supporting your hip onto your blanket. Sit tall here. Bring your right hand out to the floor, maybe just your fingertips, or you can flatten your palm. Inhale this left arm up and then pull back by using the back side of your body to stretch this right shoulder and pull that left arm behind you as far as you can. I'm being limited by the wall behind me, but if you don't have anything behind your body, you can really open that arm. And then here's your quiz. Is this active or passive? It's a little bit of both, because when we're pulling back with our muscles, that's the active part. But this hand on the mat is giving us a little bit of anchor. So that's a little bit of outside force. Now let's reverse this. So this top arm is going to thread the needle a little bit and reach under the armpit and look over your shoulder. So again, it's a combination of active and passive because we're reaching that arm underneath, which is the active part, but we're anchored into the floor, creating force. So that's our passive part. Let's get one more on each side. We'll open. You can even bend this elbow and pull it back this way behind you if the arm up is uncomfortable. And then reach through as we breathe, threading the needle. And then open out and bring yourself up. And let's just pause for a second here and reach over this front leg and lower down. Just take a passive stretch here. What is our outside force? For most of us, it should be just gravity pulling our chest down toward our leg. All right, let's press up and we'll reverse sides. Take your time to switch your Z-sit. Planting this hand, either fingertips or palm. Right arm is up and we'll pull back. Really look behind you over that shoulder. A little bit of outside force from your left arm on the mat. The rest is active stretching. And then reverse this by threading the needle, reaching under. Press that right arm across your body for your active stretch. Anchor into your hand for the passive. And then one more of each. So the very first stretch we did in class, active and passive, was rotation. So maybe you can notice how your spine feels now, 55 minutes later, than it did when we did that first twist. All right, let's reach it in, look behind. And then just inhale to open out. Lower that arm, take the upper body and passively stretch forward over that left leg. This is our pigeon modification. If you want to take this right leg and extend it fully back behind you for a nice full pigeon, you certainly can here. That's a wonderful option. And then we'll press ourselves up. Coming back to easy seated position, cross leg, or maybe legs straight out or straddled. And then our final stretch is into the neck. And a lot of times we spend in our life with our shoulders hunched up a little bit. Even if we don't see it or realize it, there's a lot of tension here. So let's use the muscles of our neck to tip the right ear toward the right shoulder. So I'm pulling down to create this extension. Now we can add a little bit of passive to this by either bringing this hand across and pushing the shoulder down, one great option, or bringing the hand and softly guiding the stretch a little deeper. Very nice. About 30 seconds and then we'll release. Before you quickly move to the other side,